has an opportunity to spring a big upset. In fact, he's quite a confident young guy, isn't he, Arnie?
Yeah, I think you got to write off the Lonnie Bradley fight. He had no business going down to 160 pounds. He sweated off a lot of weight to take that at very short notice. I liked him in the Mike Cedillo fight. If the fighter that I saw against Mike Cedillo shows up here tonight and it's the wrong Toney, this fight's going to go different than what Jackie Callan's planning for James Toney this evening.
All right, so let's see how James Toney does here tonight in this heavyweight battle against Carl Willis. For all the official numbers, let's go up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world on Prime, we welcome you to the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Fight Night at the Palace Incorporated and international events, as sponsored by Metro 25 Tires and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout is sanctioned by the Michigan State Board of Control. Chairman Dale Grable. Introducing to you the judges scoring this bout from ringside. Herman McAlpine Jr., Dario Cherini, and Charles Fisset. Introducing to you the referee in charge of this bout, Dale Grable. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening, a light heavyweight special attraction scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my right, out of the red corner, he is wearing black trunks with white trim and fighting out of Clarksville, Tennessee. He weighed in at 174 pounds. His record includes 21 wins, only 2 losses, 1 draw, with 15 wins coming by way of knockout. Welcome a fighter they call the Scorpion, Carl Willis. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, the 10-round main event, wearing black trunks, hailing from Ann Arbor, Michigan, as he represents Jackie Callan's Galaxy Boxing Gym. He weighed in at 179 pounds. His record includes 44 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 29 knockouts to his credit. Here is the former IBF and super middleweight champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney. Dale Grable, referee in charge, now to give instructions.
Gentlemen, you're given the rules of the state of Michigan in the dressing room. I'm here to enforce those rules, gentlemen. Protect yourself at all times. Listen to my commands. Touch him up. Come out.
Okay, Rich, they're both the same age, even though Toney started fighting 4 years earlier, around the same height. Toney comes in at the second heaviest he's ever been in his pro career, 179, and he's got a 2-inch reach advantage over Carl Willis.
All right, this bout will be fought under the rules of the state of Michigan. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. There is a standing 8 count, and after an accidental butt, they will go to the cards after half the distance of the fight, and that would be, of course, in this fight, a 5-round distance, or it would be declared a technical draw. 3 knockdown, there is a standing 8. We are ready for action, and here we go into round 1. James Toney comes out with a very purposeful look on his face at the opening bell and goes right to Carl Willis.
Now watch for Willis to switch to southpaw, fight righty, move around, a lot of quick stick and jab.
Toney says he wants to have fights now where he doesn't leave it in the hands of the judges anymore. He feels he's really robbed in his fight with Montel Griffin. I must admit, Arnie, that I felt that was a bad decision, the decision that went against Toney. And he hurts, I think, Willis there with a little left hook. His right leg went for a little skate, it looked like, but he recovers quickly, Willis does.
Definitely took a rest there for a pregnant pause, and Toney hit him with the left hook. You know, a lot of people right now, you won't know for a couple of more fights just what the story is with Toney, even if he wins a couple more. You know, in reviewing his record, he started pro in 1988, even though he's only 26 years of age. He's been fighting since '88. He's had 48 professional fights already. In terms of a boxer's chronology, he should be on the downside instead of the upside, which he might very well be.
You saw that right hand from Willis caused Toney to take a step backwards momentarily. Bounced right back up, though.
And make no mistake, Willis has punching power. He's got 16 knockouts in those 21. He can punch. He's been known to give you a little butt in the inside, too, which he did to Mike Cedillo quite often. And as I mentioned earlier, he can switch to southpaw at any moment.
Good right hand to the body from James Toney. Toney with all of the skills and all of the different punches in a well-positioned arsenal. Probably not remembered for any single punch in his career, but uses a variety of punishing type punches with which he wears down the adversary.
No, when Toney's on, he'll show you all kinds of different looks and will adapt different looks to different fighters. In the middle rounds, he's prone to lay on the ropes and try to lull somebody in. Doesn't seem to be what he's doing tonight, though. He seems to be coming out very fast, although he looks very soft around the middle. And as I mentioned, the second heaviest he's ever weighed for a fight at 179 pounds.
Minute to go in round one. Carl Willis in the black trunks with the white trim. James Toney in the colors of the Galaxy stable. He's added a skull and crossbones, though, to his repertoire on his trunks as Willis begins to punch, and we come to the end of round number one.
And watch for Willis's head.
We begin round two. James Toney screen right. Carl Willis in the black trunks with the white trim. Now on the right side of your screens. Toney, of course, a big favorite based on his great record. And Willis stepping way up in class.
Yeah, I would say the biggest name that Willis has fought to date was probably Mike Cedillo, or maybe even Lonnie Bradley, who's on the way up. Certainly nobody in Toney's class.
1994, I guess you could consider a bittersweet year for Toney. Boy, he had a great start to it with his spectacular victory at the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles over Tim Littles, and then the victory over Prince Charles Williams in the last round with the knockout. But then, of course, came the Roy Jones fight, which is what most people talk about, it seems like, now when they talk about James Toney.
Well, you know, Jackie Callan has his hands full with him for a lot of reasons, not just the publicized ones. It's hard to keep him in the gym and training. And so, consequently, he's had a lot more bouts because she wants to keep him busy. You shouldn't be coming off a Prince Charles Williams fight in July and fighting Roy Jones in November. A fighter of his stature and making the money that he's making doesn't have to and didn't have to fight as often as he did.
Carl Willis was willing to trade with Toney, and it cost him there as he ate a right hand from the former champion. He's bleeding from the nose now in this second round, Willis is. Sweating quite profusely and seemingly wearing down a little bit here in round two.
I'm surprised Willis doesn't have his jab going here at all. He wants to keep Toney off. He should be popping that jab. He's got to be snapping a double, triple jab if he's going to fight Toney on the outside. Otherwise, Toney's just walking in. He's offering nothing to keep Toney off him right now. One jab's not going to do it. And I got to tell you, Rich, in spite of the extra weight, Toney looks impressive thus far.
He is at 179 pounds. Moving well, coming forward, and appears to have now opened a cut over the eye of Carl Willis' right eye. Some blood from the nose and blood on the right side of the face underneath the eye of Willis as well. Toney, look how he's cutting off the ring on Willis, not leaving him any escape route. He actually backs up.
Wow. And he just threw that head right into that cut as well. Add a little insult to that injury.
Half minutes to go in round two. Rich Marotta, Arnie Rosenthal, ringside at the Palace of Auburn Hills. You're watching Prime Championship Boxing. Former two-time world champion James Toney. Getting hit, but then showing some of the defensive skills, which we've seen in a lot of his fights as well. Loving that body.
Loves to dip that left shoulder.
I thought one of the greatest defensive performances we've seen in recent years was his fight against Iran Barkley, when Barkley just could not hit him in that fight. It was an incredible defensive showing by Toney, who goes down now and sits down in front of the venerable trainer Bill Miller, and across the way we look at Willis.
And they got their work cut out. That's Rick Conti in the corner there. He's got his work cut out on that cut. They've done a good job in the past, though. Willis tends to cut. He was cut very badly in the Cedillo fight and still managed to go the full 12. But he's not doing anything to keep Toney off. And we take a look at action here from round number 2. And Toney very aggressive, moving in, keeping Willis off balance. And Willis isn't doing anything. He's allowing Toney to walk in like that. The jab's not going to do him any good once Toney's on the inside, Rich.
Toney has been sharp so far tonight. Still on his stool, across the ring. Willis looking at him. You got the same look that James Toney as Carl Willis did coming out of the corner. Look at how Toney cuts the ring on Willis. Willis trying to, can't really move in a circular fashion there. Toney an expert in the skills of boxing. Hand to the right hand. Toney punching in combinations tonight.
And Willis doing nothing to keep him off. He's not keeping that jab out of there. He wants to survive strictly on moving with the legs. He's got to keep the jab out.
Willis can move some, moving some tonight. He's strong. Got good stamina. He had a lot of first and second round KOs early in his career, but that was against very low-level opposition. Toney just really looks purposeful tonight.
Well, as we said in the open, you're coming off 2 losses, which is something that we never thought we'd be talking about at this point in time. You have a must-win situation here. He's already got his next fight scheduled. He'll be fighting for the USBA title.
That is against one of Arnie Rosenthal, my partner's fighters, Anthony Himber. Is there a date on that?
April 30th on the CBS network. That's why, should James Toney win this fight, Rich, I'm going to give the pleasure of the post-fight interview to you so that Toney and I don't wind up...
Is that for safety reasons?
Possibly.
Halfway through round 3.
I don't want him to insult me and really get Hembrick mad at him.
For James Toney, I can't recall any fighter who was a champion, and certainly at the level that he held the championship and for the amount of time that he did, who was more active, this guy. I mean, just fighting even non-title fights as well as title fights. He would fight as a matter of course, and every year in the 90s, 5, 6, 7 fights a year.
In 1990, he fought 10 times. I mean, it gives you an idea. He's fought, that's what I was saying earlier, since 1988. He turned pro late in 88. So essentially, since 1989, he's 48 fights. A lot of leg wear, a lot of body wear, and he's a fighter that likes to balloon up. Even if he's off for just 4 or 6 weeks, he's going to put on 20 pounds. So you take that weight off, you take it on, it's got wear and tear on you. And I think some of that wear and tear is what we saw in the Roy Jones and even in the Montel Griffin fight, but we're not seeing it tonight. Looking very good thus far.
There's a right to the time and then a left up to the head by James Toney. Good stiff jab there by Toney. 10 seconds to go in the round. Round number 4 coming up on Prime.
Third round action, and you see what's happening here is Carl Willis is trying to throw a jab from the inside, and he's off balance, and James Toney pretty much having his way with him at this point.
Toney moving forward, was told by trainer Bill Miller not to forget the body. Arnie, we can't see the upper reaches here of this beautiful building, the Palace of Auburn Hills. We estimated that the crowd was around 12,000 earlier tonight. It's dark up there, so we really can't see. We've just been handed the attendance figures here tonight. 18,165 fans have packed the Palace here to watch James Toney and Bronco McCartney.
I'm not sure. That's probably a boxing record, though, for Willis. You know, you only can wonder at this point, and we probably will never know the real answer, if James Toney was more diligent in his training and didn't have a tendency to put on big weight between fights, and he stayed at either 160 or 168, what a devastating fighter he could have been down there.
Good counter right hand by Toney. One of his skills is counter punching. having trouble taking it off.
Oh, Willis is cut.
Big cut, a lot of blood.
Can't tell if it's coming from his nose or his cheek is cut. And he's fighting a totally wrong fight, totally different than he said he would fight Toney also. He's not sticking and jabbing, he's not moving, and now he's trying to get into a brawl on the inside. Showing a lot of guts and heart, but not a great strategy.
I believe that blood was from the nose. It just got smeared, Arnie. It's no longer on the face.
I agree.
Right hand there by Willis. Toney, workmanlike, trying to step it up.
Yeah, there's a good stiff jab from Willis, but then he comes walking back in.
Dale Grable says, warns Toney, says, I said stop punching. Toney punching there, and he did get a good left hook, and then splattered the blood again.
And Willis turning into a punching bag at this point, Rich. He's offering no offense whatsoever.
When you take a look at that face of Willis, it's only round 4, and he looks more than just jaded at this point.
And Toney just looked down at us as if to say, come on, how do you like my performance? Shot us a glare. And I just got a nice hunk of Carl Willis' blood all over me.
At the end of the round.
Do you want to make...
All right, back at the Palace of Auburn Hills as we begin round 5 to make matters worse for Carl Willis. They fought after the bell. A few seconds after the bell, and referee Dale Grable deducted a point from Willis as well for what he called unsportsmanlike conduct. So it was either 15 yards or...
And it was a point he couldn't afford to give away at this point. I don't know if he's going to be around, though, to see the decision, so I don't think it's going to be totally academic. He's bleeding from every place on his face that he could possibly bleed from now.
A lot of blood coming from the nose. They just cannot stem the bleeding from the nose of Carl Willis. Good right hand by Willis. Toney will often turn away from those rights. He puts his shoulder up there. It's a neat little defensive trick that James has developed through the course of his distinguished career.
It's a very awkward one to combat against. And normally what happens, the big mistake a fighter makes is he's trying to look for a way to combat against that shoulder instead of saying, you know what, let me take 2 steps backwards instead of getting sucked in.
Good right hand by Toney, who is just methodically breaking down Carl Willis. Willis has shown guts here by continuing, but I think his corner, if it continues at this pace, may have to think about stopping this fight.
Well, I guess they're coming from, at least at this point, Willis is a bit of a puncher. He's had 16 knockouts in his 21 wins. They're going to feel he's got a puncher's chance on the inside.
He tried to throw a right there, and Toney backed him up with his own right.
Toney hitting him from all angles now. Landed a nice uppercut in there as well. And Willis offering no offense as he backpedals, and Toney just stalking him. Willis having trouble breathing right now, too, because of the nose bleeding. He's got his mouth open because when he tries to breathe through his nose, all he's going to do is swallow blood. He's going to wind up getting his jaw broken this way if they can't stem the flow of blood from his nose. You can see the blood come flying out of his mouth as well.
It's a nice left hook by Toney, but it just grazed the face of Willis, thrown with a lot of power and snap. There Willis tries the jab, and then follows it up with the left hand. The jab missed the right, and then the left hand by Willis, perhaps his best combination of the night.
Notice, though, he didn't go running in, though, to try to double it up or triple it up. He allowed Toney to shake it off. He was happy to land the one punch, stay on the outside.
And Toney just kind of paused for a second, said, all right, back to it. Toney marches forward with 10 seconds to go in round 5. For James Toney. And we go back to the corner with Toney, who looks right up at Bill Miller, smiles at Bill, a rare smile from the face of James Toney during the fight.
Well, when you're a fighter like Toney, who was coming off being undefeated in 46 fights, excuse me, himself. He has to question his self-confidence. And he has to at least feel right now like, well, I'm back. Or I'm back somewhat. This isn't Roy Jones, it's Carl Willis, but I'm on the right path. On the other hand, Willis is offering no offense whatsoever at this point. Nothing to speak. There's a punching bag in there, and if I was his corner, I'd be thinking very seriously about stopping this fight. Maybe one more round.
Round 6, scheduled for 10. This is Prime Championship Boxing coming to you tonight from the Palace of Auburn Hills. Rich Marotta and Arnie Rosenthal ringside. James Toney, former two-time world champion, won the middleweight championship in 1991 with an 11th round KO of Michael Nunn, right in Nunn's hometown of Davenport, Iowa. Made 6 successful title defenses, and 2 years later defeated Iran Barkley in a spectacular performance to win the super middleweight championship. Made 3 successful defenses before losing the crown to Roy Jones Jr. Willis in his career, 21 victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw.
And this isn't the same Willis that fought Cedillo. At least he's not fighting Toney the way that he fought Cedillo. There's no jab left in there whatsoever. He's in survival mode. He's looking for the one lucky punch. James Toney, though, even at 179 pounds, has to feel very good about this performance.
And Toney beginning to actually pot shot him and landing those pot shots. Everything landing this round for James Toney. Very accurate round for the former champion. James almost pinioned his opponent on the ropes. And Willis got out of there, and James threw a big smile down here. James, of course, had that well-publicized spat with his manager, Jackie Callan, after he lost the title. It looked as though the two might split, but they're back together. And Callan, of course, here with him tonight.
And Rich, it could be nothing more than James Toney being young at the time, 25. I don't think he'd even turned 26 when he fought Jones. Did he know how to deal with defeat? And anything ever prepared him for that? He took it out on Jackie. They seem to be happy now back together. He didn't blame the Montel Griffin loss on her.
That was about the first punch that Toney has missed in this round. Wild with a right.
I think at this point, yeah, very wild. He feels that he can get away with a little carelessness right now. Throw a right from that far on the outside. The guy he was fighting was a little bit more experienced, not so banged up. Wide open for a left hook.
Right hand over the top by Toney. Willis just has no answer for him.
I'm trying to catch the eye of Willis's corner to see what their intention is right now. There's no reason to really let this go on.
Well, you mentioned a couple of rounds ago when I wondered the same thing, that he has a puncher's chance, but he's not punching.
No, and at this point, he can't. At Toney as Toney goes walking back. I think right now even Carl Willis knows this is about it.
And if you're Carl Willis and you realize you're in a situation where the fight is barely more than half over at this point, it's got to be kind of a nightmare for you.
I think he's in a place right now. I know Willis, he's got a lot of heart. He's a very tough kid. I think he won't quit. I think he's hoping his corner quits it for him. He's looking for them to stop it. You take a look at Toney in 6th round action, Rick. I mean, Carl Willis is moving in on the inside. He's got nothing coming in. You take a look at Toney slip here. Oh, Willis slips.
That's right. Take a deep breath, baby.
Tries to turn his back. Nothing really much happening there.
Round 7. Scheduled in this big crowd. Let's have a roar here at the Palace of Auburn Hills. 18,165, the official announced attendance.
Hey, if nothing else, at the end of this fight, they're going to have to give Carl Willis a big hand. He's taking the beating of his life.
Quite a left hook there by Toney.
rushing in there with the right as well, Rich. And another warning from Dale. Watch the head on Carl Willis. He's already had 1 point taken away for unsportsmanlike conduct. They should give him a few points, though, for Hart right now, because he could quit at any time and not be ashamed. Take quite a beating here.
Trying to move out of harm's way, but it seems wherever he turns, James Toney is in front of him.
And the corner of Willis still screaming at him to jab, jab, jab. And I think that nose is broken. You take a look. That's not the shape of Willis's nose when he came in this evening.
Now punch it on the other side. Come on, James.
Although, at least for the moment, one of the few times in the fight, really, it's not bleeding profusely. Now the blood begins to trickle a little bit out of it. Momentary rally by Willis, who grabs Toney and smacks him on the behind 3 times.
You know, these guys were sparring partners. There was a lot of bad blood and bad talk, as there always is coming into a fight. But you got to admit, if nothing else, right now, Willis has a tremendous amount of respect for Toney. And Toney, I believe, in his own way, is wondering what's keeping Willis up and has developed an enormous amount of respect for Carl Willis.
Rally here by Toney. Willis is just outclassed by the former 2-time champion. Good right hand by Toney, landing all of the punches, but he has yet to score a knockdown in this fight. Good body shots and a big flurry of punches by Toney. Half a minute to go in round 7. What about Toney's punching power at this weight, Ernie?
You know, I just want a blanket statement. When fighters move up in weight, sometimes that's a euphemism for don't like to train, let me keep moving up. And we've seen Toney go from 60 to 68 to 75. And I just don't think so far he hasn't shown the punching power at 175 pounds that he had at the lighter weights.
We'll be back with round 8 in a moment. Bell for round 8. Carl Willis a little slow getting off the stool. Wondered how much he wanted to get off the stool to come out for this round. He has 3 rounds to go to try to go the distance with James Lights Out Toney, who is apparently pitching a shutout so far.
Oh, he's pitching a shutout. He's pitching a no-hitter.
Good left hand by Toney. That one hurt Willis. That left hook hurt Willis.
And I can't applaud Willis's corner for letting him go out there.
That one really puffed up his eye as well. Take a look at the right eye of Willis now, puffing. His nose perhaps broken, has been bleeding the fight. That left hook really hurt Willis. Now he gets back on his horse again. Good left hook to the body by Toney, who is simply doing his job in there. Continues to pour it on. Another left hook to the body.
You know, Toney also, right now, it would be a good time to take a look at who the 3 light heavyweight champions are. Virgil Hill, Mike McCallum, and Henry Maska. And you've got to say right now, you could be looking at the rubber match between Toney and McCallum at 175 pounds. It'd be an interesting fight.
Well, they fought twice. Oh, boy, Willis is in trouble. A draw and a decision victory for Toney. Willis is in real trouble this round. He looks like he's ready to go to me. Just taking the beating. Left hook by Toney, who's unmerciful. And his corner just sitting there. Maybe Dale Grable will step in and stop the bout at this point.
Doctor, take a look, Rich, and a good call. I'm looking over at Willis's corner. They should know better. He's got veteran Rick Connie in his corner.
We are splattered ourselves here at ringside with the blood of Carl Willis, who's just taking a pummeling in there. And
it's over. Doctor stopped it, Rich.
Well, these 2 guys are going back to fighting again. No, Dale Grable says no, the fight is. Well, Dale better make a signal and let everybody know that. Point to the winner, please, and let him know that he's the winner. And let this youngster know he's the loser. Dale Grable. Now we'll walk over to James Toney and raise his hand, I believe. That's it. wanted to fight more, and the doctor said it was enough, but I think everybody here could see that. And James Toney is back in the winner's circle once again. Very strong performance, I thought, by Toney.
You know, Rich, it's a time like this, though, you take a look, you were mentioning, would he fight Mike McCallum now at 175 pounds? It's important to point out that they didn't fight at 168. Both of their fights took place at 160 pounds. So both of them will have bypassed fighting each other at 68 and wind up fighting at 175 pounds.
All right, let's take a look at the end of the fight now. When James Toney was just pouring it on, and Carl Willis, brave, refusing to go down. Look at this pummeling by James Toney. One of the rare misses there by Toney. That left hook straightened him up. Another left hook bent him over the ropes. Another left hook by Toney. Finally, Dale Grable got between the two.
And a merciful stopping. Sometimes, you know, a fighter should even go down on his own, get that.
Well, he was brave, foolhardy perhaps.
Never got off tonight. That jab that I've seen him use before to keep other fighters off just never got started. And James Toney, on the other hand, very good win, impressive win. Stop a 2-fight losing streak, and see if he gets his career back on track.
All right, we will be back to get the official announcement from Jimmy Lennon Jr. We'll do that when we return to Prime Championship Boxing. As we go to commercial break, let's take a look at our James Lights Out Toney.
Toney has just stopped Carl Willis. He goes to 45-2-2. That's his 30th knockout. Willis drops to 21-3-1. A very impressive win for Toney, stopping the 2-fight losing streak. Carl Willis never really getting started, looking for that jab and movement that he said he was going to give. Never really got on it. And now we're going to go up to the ring with Jimmy Lennon with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 1 minute, 42 seconds in round number 8. This bout has been stopped on advice of the ringside physician. The winner by way of technical knockout, James Lights Out Toney.
There you have it. James Toney, again, goes to 45-2-2. That's his 30th knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, having a hand of recognition for a fine try and a good sport to the Scorpion, Carl Willis.
Carl Willis showing a lot of heart. Not good strategy tonight. I could have seen the fight stop a whole lot sooner. And we're going to go up to Rich Murata, who's with James Toney, and he'll be talking about what's in James Toney's future. Take it away, Rich.
All right, thank you, Arnie. And James, very impressive performance. Nice to be back in the winner's circle again.
It feels damn good, you know. So I should be all along. But, you know, that little rustiness on me tonight. It was all coming on me slowly. I'll be ready. I'll be champion 6 months. I guarantee it.
Well, you look like you were pretty sharp tonight. How did it feel in there?
I wasn't as sharp as I want to be. Another fight, I'll be ready. I'll be sharp. I'll be ready for McCallum, Virgil Hill. Whoever shot the title, I'm taking it.
It looked as though you pretty much methodically just kind of broke him down, broke your opponent down in every area of the game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I've been trying to work to like how I used to be when I was a middleweight. When I first won the super middleweight title, just dissect the fighters. And Carl was tough. He took some shots. I got a little anxious at the end there. Got a little wild, crazy. I was anxious to knock this guy out. But we got the job done.
James, how did you feel at 179 tonight? What was it like carrying that weight in the ring tonight?
I feel pretty good. You know, I'm strong. I feel strong as the weight. And I had no problems. But like I said, I'm not going to go up in weight. I'm taking my 3rd title, which I will. You know, I know Arnie down there. I know he's training manager Anthony Hembrick.
That's right.
But we got a date April 30th.
Just make sure you show up.
Oh, I'll be there now.
All right.
You know, after I get done with him, I'm going to knock you out.
All right.
I want your job.
Well, let's ask Jackie. Let's bring Jackie Callan here. Jackie, keeping James very busy. I guess that's the game plan right now. Huh?
Well, the main thing is to get him back, get that title, the next one. You okay? Okay, anyways, he likes to stay busy. That's how we got where we got in the first place, by staying busy, fighting every month, and we're going to try to fight 9 times this year.
And we ain't breaking up, so everybody get that shit out your head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We're going to be together forever.
You know,
James, we did mention there during the course of the fight that I can't think of any champion really who has stayed as busy as you have done, especially fighting at the level that you have fought at in the past few years. you continue to do that. Some people said, and I even saw this in print, maybe James should take a vacation after the Montel for a while and go relax and gather himself together.
I took a vacation after Prince Charles Williams fight for 4 months. And that kind of slowed my game down a lot. But, you know, I won't do it again. I fought twice to fight this year. I got 7 more to go.
All right. And you're promising a championship before the year's out, right?
Knockout. Lights out from back, baby. Watch out. I'm coming for the lightweight championship soon.
All right. There he is. There he is, James Toney. We thank him for being with us. Congratulations. Let's go back down to